Okay, this is it. Top 25 my favorite Halloween movies. 20 was too difficult to me because there are so many good Halloween movies, so 25 was way easier to me. Well, as you can see, I'm not at home. I'm here at Bottomland Production Studio, where I usually shoot my makeup effects material for this show. I love this place, and before we begin, let's check how I did this makeup. There's my friend's fake skull from Halloween store, and that I added some liquid latex and toilet paper. After that I added some hot glue to add some texture, and after that some colors, and when you think it's ready, rip it off, cut that in 2 pieces, attachment with liquid latex, and add some blood. Okay, we got that out of the way, so let's get started.
Oh, pizza.
Number 25. Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Well, what you can say, the title says it all. Like, so good B-movie premise, and the movie immediately tells you don't take this too seriously. Rewatch values are there, but there's just a little bit something missing, and that little bit bothers me. It's silly B-movie goodness.
Time to meet and greet the brand new you.
Number 24. Freak. This is actually the newest movie on my list because I saw this movie first time this year. So I think this is gonna be like new Halloween tradition to me. The special effects by Screaming Mad George, just wonderful, and it's like this good 90s craziness and over-the-top comedy with great monsters, and because there are so many different creatures, it yells you like Halloween, Halloween. Number 23. Freddy vs. Jason. I saw this when I was a teenager, and at the time I wasn't Freddy or Jason fan, and at the time I didn't expect very much from this movie, but it was actually surprisingly good and entertaining because there was lots of gore. I was expecting that, so this movie delivers. And actually after this I started watching more Freddy and Jason movies. Number 22. Addams Family Values.
What was I thinking of?
Physical pleasure.
This was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I loved this movie. When people talk about that the sequel is better than the original movie, nobody mentions Addams Family 2. I mean, in many ways this is just a way better movie. Number 21. The Call of Cthulhu. This independent black and white silent film was actually pretty important movie to me when it came, because at the time I just started reading more H.P. Lovecraft, and since I was a little child I loved these black and white horror movies like Frankenstein, Invisible Man, Creature from Black Lagoon. And when I saw this and knew that this was like a zero budget movie, it was actually pretty big source of inspiration for me, and I still would love to do more black and white stuff, and one of the reasons is this movie. Number 20. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Well, of course this has to be on the list, and I even have Jack Skellington tattoo. Yes, this is also one of my childhood favorites. This was the movie what got me interested on stop motion animation. I have done a couple of stop motion short films. When I was a kid and when I saw this, I haven't seen anything like it. I have a soft spot for musicals. I'm not a musical fan, but good musicals are good musicals. And yeah, as a kid, this was one of my favorite musicals, and the songs are good. And believe me, this is not the only musical on this list. Number 19.
Well, hello, Dolly.
Bride of Chucky. My favorite Chucky movie, and because this movie is full of these classic monster tributes like Bride of Frankenstein, in that way this has this wonderful Halloween feeling, and it's twisted, it's funny. Number 18. Young Frankenstein. I love Mel Brooks, and this is also a new one on my list. Was it like this or last year when I saw this Young Frankenstein for the first time, and it blew my mind. I mean, this movie looks gorgeous, like these old classic horror movies like Frankenstein. The set decoration is just wonderful. Like, the jokes are fun and the characters are insane. Gene Wilder as a main lead is wonderful like always.
Must be blood.
Tui, that's disgusting.
Must be fresh.
Number 17. Little Shop of Horrors.
Does it have to be mine?
Yeah, we continue with musicals. The special effects are from the Jim Henson studio and they are amazing. All the old school gimmicks are here. The songs are good, the characters are very lovable, and you'll like to cheer them. And the one who steals the show is Steve Martin, who's wonderful like always. I also like Roger Corman version, but this is way better. When the remake is better than the original movie, people don't talk about this movie.
And it's drawn in a creature from outer space.
Number 16.
Like all new pets, this one's causing a
TerrorVision.
little trouble around the house.
Talking about 80s monster movies, like this has 80s all over it. It's insane and the creature effects are amazing. The budget wasn't that big, but to me it feels like more expensive movie because I mean, the main creature is just incredible. This isn't everyone's cup of tea, but if you like 80s monster movies and 80s B-movies, check it out. Number 15. Beetlejuice. And of course this has to be on the list. And what can I say what hasn't been said a million times? The music by Danny Elfman is great, the idea, the world is fun, and of course Michael Keaton as a Beetlejuice is full of fun. Number 14. The Evil Dead. First time when I saw this, I was pretty young and this movie almost traumatized me. This was something totally new. At the time I was like, I haven't seen anything like this. This is just amazing. At the time this was one of the creepiest movies ever and it was such a huge experience. Number 13. The Return of the Living Dead. I mean, wow. Again, movie what is so full of 80s goodness. One of the craziest horror comedies ever, and this has become my new Halloween tradition. This movie has such big personality, and even the sequel, Return of the Living Dead 3, is very underrated. That's not on this list, but it almost was. Number 12. Hellraiser. Hellraiser is actually one of my favorite movies. If you like 80s body horror, like David Cronenberg's The Fly, and that kind of stuff, John Carpenter's The Thing, this is it. And, well, I have to tell you, I love John Carpenter's The Thing and David Cronenberg's The Fly, but they are not on this list. They're not so Halloween movies to me. When it's winter, I like to watch John Carpenter's The Thing, and The Fly is actually one of those movies what I watch all the time. So, you know what I'm trying to say. Moving on. Number 11. Ernest, Scared Stupid. Okay, this is also one of my childhood favorites. You love it or hate it. I have so much nostalgia points for Ernest movies. I just love this movie. I really do. I try to watch this like almost every Halloween. And as a kid, I thought this idea about this troll who transforms these children to wooden dolls was creepy as hell. So first time when I saw this as a kid, that troll was, I mean, it was terrifying. And the special effects, they look good. And those special effects are done by the same guys who did Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Please, give Ernest a chance. Number 10. Brandon Lee's The Crow. Now when everything is CGI and the action scenes doesn't have real blood, so I actually have more respect for this movie. All the tricks, how they shot this movie without Brandon Lee, rest in peace, using stunt doubles and visual effects, and those certain visual effects slash CGI, they look actually pretty good because they are stylized in a good way. It feels like 90s music video. It does that in a good way.
Oh, it's the pancakes. You hate pancakes. I'm gonna make you something else.
Number 9. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
You should relax. Tucker and Dale are on the case.
First time when I saw this movie, the DVD and poster, and when I heard the name, I thought this is like very, very cheap movie. I thought this is even sillier than Trauma's Redneck Zombies. I mean, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That doesn't sound good. And first time when I saw the movie, I was so surprised. I mean, this is like in my top 10 biggest surprises to me, positive surprises. I didn't expect anything, but this is actually very well made. The gore is good, and the characters are good. If you don't know anything about this movie, that's good. Don't read anything, just go and watch this. This was such a big surprise. Number 8. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's one of my favorite musicals. It screams like horror comedy. It screams Halloween in almost every scene. It's full of fun. It's like this, the whole movie is like a Halloween costume party. One of the reasons why I wanted to put this movie on this list is so many of my friends hate this movie. I've heard all the reasons, but I still don't understand why so many people hate this movie. I mean, I just love this movie.
I must leave.
Number 7. Troll 2. I can't help it. I love Troll 2. One of the worst movies of all time. But the rewatch value is so big. And why this movie has such a Halloween feeling, it's actually very hard to explain. I don't know. It's like this, the fantasy world, these silly goblin creatures. To me, they yell Halloween, Halloween. It's silly and over the top. If you like B and trash movies, like So Bad, So Good movies, and if you still haven't seen this movie, go watch this immediately. Number 6.
he's just made a discovery.
Re-Animator. Another H.P. Lovecraft adaptation and one of the best. I was thinking like, do I put George A. Romero's Day of the Dead or this one? And I really wanted to put this one. Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West is amazing. It's like modern Frankenstein. And even Day of the Dead has its own crazy scientist, and the main villain calls him Frankenstein. Herbert West is my favorite mad scientist. I love this movie, and I love that character, and I also love the sequels. Number 5. Creepshow.
Jolting tales of horror.
Okay, there is George A. Romero movie on this list, and that's Creepshow. To me, it's Romero's best movie and one of my favorite movies of all time. This is like the dream team movie for horror fans. Directed by George A. Romero, written by Stephen King, and special effects by legendary Tom Savini, one of my personal idols. There are many different stories in this movie, and all are wonderful. It's fun, it has this 50s comic book look, what is wonderful, very unique movie. And still, this has also some disturbing scenes. So it delivers in so many levels. And that is why I think it's one of the best horror comedies and also one of the best movies from the 80s.
Something's coming.
Number 4. From Beyond.
Humans are such easy prey.
Okay, another H.P. Lovecraft movie. I know many people think Re-Animator is a way better movie, but From Beyond is actually my favorite H.P. Lovecraft movie and Stuart Gordon movie, and I think it's very underrated. It's no wonder that as a special effects guy, I love this movie, and in the same level like John Carpenter's The Thing. The reason why this feels like a Halloween movie to me, there's this big mansion. It's like this very classic horror cliche that there's this one big dark mansion and there's a mad scientist. But also this is like Re-Animator was like 80s Frankenstein. This is like 80s mansion horror, and now this time there isn't vampires or anything like that. Now there are creatures from another world, from another dimension. There's so much stuff. So it feels like a celebration of monster movies. Number 3. Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Well, surprise, surprise, this list was full of different monster movies and musicals, so what do you expected? Of course, Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead is on this list. It's one of my favorite B-movies, also one of my favorite trauma movies. I keep this short because I already did Fake-O-Ween episode about this movie. This movie is awesome.
That's lies.
Number 2.
He came back to the dead, he raped her, and then bit her to death.
Cemetery Man.
Go away.
This is also one of those movies that it's so unique. This is one of those movies that when you tell what kind of movie this is to your friends, and your friends start asking, so if you have to say another movie what's something like that, what that would be? And I would say, I don't know. The first time when I watched this movie with my friend Heikki, I didn't know shit. I mean, and I was so surprised how unique movie this is. This has this great Italian horror movie feeling, but it's horror comedy. It really feels like mixed between American horror comedy and Italian horror comedy, and I mean that in best possible way. The special effects are great, the characters are crazy, and there are so many insane things. Even this movie was made in the 90s. This has this great 80s and also 70s vibes all over it. And sometimes it feels like Lucio Fulci movie, so if you like Italian horror movies, check these out. And the number one is Nightbreed. One of my favorite movies of all time, and I think Nightbreed is very underrated monster movie. It's like a festival and celebration of monsters. It's like this classic good versus evil, but the monsters are now the good guys. I love Hellraiser, but to me, in many levels, this is better and more important movie to me. Nightbreed actually is very important movie to me, because that movie was the biggest inspiration for me to make my first movie, Backward Madness. That movie is still in post-production, and well, it's getting ready soon-ish, I hope. And of course, I will tell you when it's ready, and when the time is right, I will tell you more about Backward Madness, and also later I will tell you more what kind of Nightbreed tributes are in Backward Madness and so on. So that was my list. I hope you liked it. What are your favorite Halloween movies? Tell me on comment section. Soon more makeup videos, and Halloween is getting closer. Yeah. Take care. Bye.